curious to hear what you think about this interview.
Yeah, so I guess for me personally, this is actually very different than anything I've practiced for before as well. I think for me, coming in, when you talked about this being a product science interview and product design, I had the general framework I had in mind that I kind of expected to go off for that. And this is actually fairly different than that, which is a really good challenge for me. And I think really exciting because it allowed me to kind of think about this problem from a different perspective as well.
Oh, tell me. Oh, sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think coming in when we were initially going through, I was very surprised that this would be framed around like me as a candidate and my interests. Because usually, this process is like they have like a specific question in place to be able to go through and like design out a specific kind of tech focused product, which is kind of like focused specifically on either related to the company or related to the industry that that company is working in.
Yeah, and so now we're just having a conversation. The reason why I like to anchor the problem on something that the candidate is already familiar about is then there's no excuse for, oh, not familiar with the domain, it's bad, right? I never want the candidate to feel that they were not set up for success. And having been there myself, when I don't know a lot about something. So for example, one time I was asked, I don't know, how would you improve Spotify? Like, I'm just not a Spotify user. I probably logged into to Spotify maybe, 10 years ago or something like that. I could guess what it does, but I'm never going to just get, at least it's a feeling. It's a feeling that I just feel I'm not going to do a good job. Again, it's just a feeling. Even if you don't know what it does, you can probably guess. But if I'm guessing, I'm spending my energy guessing and not thinking, right? Thinking about the problem space and thinking about solutions. That's why I always want to just make sure the candidate feels comfortable with the domain, and then we can have a constructive and meaningful conversation. So that's why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's super valuable. I think from just going into kind of a meta-analysis about how I did, I think starting out with, because of that initial shock, I probably should have spent a bit more time asking questions and determining out, how I wanted to scope this. Because usually I come in with a sense of like what framework I want to use there. And generally we were able to follow most of that. Yeah. But I think because I was taken aback there, I should have spent more time asking questions to dive more into what you were looking for, get a sense of like the core kind of value you wanted to get out of this and the core kind of interview kind of components you really wanted to challenge me on there. I think for me personally, I got too much into the personal side and the personal experience. I don't know if that's kind of an area that you wanted me to focus on, but I probably should have asked beforehand and to allow you to get a sense of what my assumptions are, where I am coming in for this problem before diving more into what the specific users are that we wanted to focus on, the specific pain points there. I think that's an area that I could have improved on there.
That's fair. And you said that you already have frameworks in mind. What are those frameworks for folks who are listening?
Yeah, so usually for like these product design focused questions, a typical one that you might get at a tech company, as you mentioned, is like maybe like design a new feature for Spotify, or design a visual, like a TikTok like feature for Spotify. Like that's a very like standard question that you might get in tech. And a lot of the times the framework there is you go in, you ask questions, you get a sense of what you want to get out of this interview and how you're able to scope it out. And then once you go through the questions, I usually typically write on an outline. As you mentioned, I always first focus on the users and making sure that we have a key number of users in place, then choosing one of those key users to focus on. Then after determining what that key user is, figure out what their current user journey is like. And then from there, figure out what are some key pain points to focus on. I think that 3 model works really well, as you mentioned previously. And from those 3 pain points, kind of choose one pain point to really focus on, that really maximizes their impact for that type of user, and then determine maybe like 3 solutions as well, and then choose one of those solutions to focus on. And that's usually like, there's more time after that, maybe also time to do any like go-to-market strategy, determine additional success metrics on those ends there.
So let me go over the notes that I took.
Sure, absolutely.
I wrote down here, let's not jump in yet. And this is exactly what you said. It's because you're surprised by this question, which is okay. The interviewer here, also depending on who the interviewer is, right? They'll try to pull you out of the weeds. Let's not focus on kitchen knives or operations yet. Like, let's talk about food. What other elements are there when we think about food? And this is related to the point that I raised earlier. Sorry, let me find it. This one. Did you pick a problem space, quote unquote, randomly? Right? And it's probably not random in your head. Like, you have a lot of reasons on why you picked it. But to the interviewer, because I'm not in your head, I feel it's random. And so it is your job to educate me on why you think focusing on kitchen operation is the right focus area for this question. So that's the first thing I wrote down. Then it's basically me prompting you, but okay, this is what we're talking about. Is it or should we talk about restaurants? Should we talk about groceries? Should we talk about delivery? Right? And then you're asking me, what area do I want to focus on? But here I'm thinking, I want to know what you think is important, right? And this is where I'm helping you decide what we should focus on. And so instead of asking me what I want to focus on, what you can say is, it's a different way of framing. You could say, well, I think this is important because of this framework that I have, whether it's on reach or on time savings or whatever it is. What do you think? Like, do you think that makes sense? Right? So now I don't feel like you need my help. Now I feel like, oh, I understand what you're trying to do. If I disagree, I will chime in. But if not, I could just listen. I could just like sit back and relax and be educated, right? Okay, so then this is where I keep on asking, why are we focusing on this area? What is impactful? Then you're asking, okay, what is impact? And so I said, how about reach? But then again, what do you think is impactful? I want to know you. I want to know how you think. So rather than asking me, the advice here is propose something, and if I don't agree with you, I'll let you know. Okay. So then we went into, again, I'm trying to understand how you think about impact, right? And then I suggested reach. What does that mean? If we make the kitchen workers more efficient, what does that mean though? What is the outcome, right? So the output here is, yeah, they're able to work more efficiently, we're saving money, but okay, that's the output. But then the outcome then is, now the students are impacted in a good way. Now, what happens when the students are happy? Then we have the ripple effect, right? This is when I want to know, are you able to think big? Are you able to ladder your feature up into something that is bigger than us, right? So if I'm the president of CMU, why would I care? Why should I care about putting a solution that helps kitchen workers? Why should I care? So that's why I was asking, okay, let's zoom out and keep on zooming out until you can ladder up as high as you can. And then now you go deep again. So this is where the interviewer is getting a sense on the depth and how you're looking at the problem. Are you able to zoom all the way out? And are you able to go all the way in? Then this is where the leveling comes in. So how does the interviewer assess level? This is one element to that. Okay, so then we basically, then we agreed, once we zoomed in, you're phenomenal. Once we're determined and agreed on the scope of the problem, and you're able to like really break it down in smaller sizes, what you do a very good job at is you're very good at summarizing. And so I'm taking notes too, but it's good to summarize. And for example, you kept saying, okay, let's summarize. And I put good because I kind of forgot what you said earlier. There's like so many points. Always good to summarize. And then again, you're saying, okay, there are 2 key points. This is good. It's not just helpful to summarize, but if you can label it, then it makes the interview a lot easier to follow along. At some point, if the interviewer is confused, then you're doomed. Then the interview is over, right? So you never want the interviewer to be confused. So this is very good. Okay, so that is a wrap of this mock interview. David, do you have anything else you want to share with the group?
Yeah, I guess from my perspective, I certainly think there's a lot I could have done on my end to, especially not only at the beginning part, but one of the things I think I could have done a better end is probably have made it a bit more conversational. I think I was able to kind of incorporate questions here and there and get your input after the major sections, but I think I could have done more to, get to make sure that I was going down the right direction as I continued to process and determine kind of the scope, both for the user, for the pain point. I think especially one of the things that you addressed is like bringing it back to the high level approach there. I think it is something that, I never have had to do in an interview setting before. And I think that's something that's incredibly valuable.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you for entertaining me with this topic. I actually have never thought about food this much. This is good.